we've done at a number of different focus groups around the country. And we want to focus on independence, mobility, and safety, something that Nick also talked about earlier. The idea that everything can be connected, connect everything, and we drive that through the person themselves, their senior and their family. We'll talk about that soon. They want to be able to live their lives with a little more freedom, as opposed to 1940s, 1950s. We really started to connect the physical locations, homes with phones, offices with phones. In the 1930s, when you needed to find somebody because there was an engineering issue at the plant, you get in the car and go track them down. In the 1940s and 50s, that changed. You get on the phone and call it home, or you call another place it might be. That paradigm really exists still today in many of the senior safety solutions. If you think of the ones with the button that they fall in and they need help, those are connected to the home. We're trying to take that and extend it. Okay, so when you design a solution that can be universally applicable for seniors, that allow for mobility and that kind of peace of mind for the family and safety for the senior themselves, you have to take this into account.
On every vacation and every cruise that you take, you get this boring picture. But how can I make it more hip for today? Look at how cropping changes everything. By cutting him out, it looks better because we don't want to see him. Who wants to see him? The less we see, take a look. Sorry, skip one. Look at the difference by cropping him out. Now look down at your shoulder, beautiful. Chin down, lean forward. You're going to turn your head to her a little bit, looking at her.
Yep, it is. Thank you for being on the panel. Our fourth panelist, Jan Jugenfeld, is CTO for Sony Ericsson, and of course I asked him if I should just introduce him as Sony, because as you know, Sony has acquired the interest of partnership. So tell us a little bit about your function and maybe a word or two on the integration issues coming up, and then we'll get into the Q&A. So, Jan, please.
Good, thank you. Yes, my name is...
There are a few seats up front here, 2, 4, 6, 8, if you want to come up front.
And I think this is, of course, also we launched the first Sony Xperia phones yesterday. And so this is one of them. This is the Ion, or Xperia Ion, Sony, branded. And this is with AT&T. So this is what we are doing on the LTE side. Full HD quality in the display and cameras, of course, everything like that. So my background is I've been in the wireless industry. I've been with Ericsson for most of my life, like 30 years. Started in the wireless industry in the late 70s, and then I moved out to Silicon Valley a couple of years ago. So I'm the CTO for the Sony Ericsson group, and now Sony Mobile, being headed out of Silicon Valley. And of course I was the CTO for Ericsson for many years, inventing a lot of new technologies like GSM, 3G, Bluetooth, WAP, and all this stuff. So building the LTE networks as Verizon and others are doing as well. So this is improving the technology a lot, and we see stronger and stronger processors. We have these dual core processors now, which will continue to really evolve. And all of this, I think, is something that we have to realize people create new behavior. And of course, entertainment is the name of what Sony is driving. So we very much focus on seeing how we can get entertainment across different devices, being it a tablet or being it a TV or being it a smartphone, and bring the same content to everyone. And if they want to watch a movie or if they want to write on it, that's fine. You have
mentioning technology like you had at the end and people adopting it, I sometimes say it's easier to forecast changes in biology than in pharmaceuticals than it is in mobile, because God, changing things so fast that I can probably say, oh, we'll improve cures for cancer in 100 years, heart disease, but mobile's like trying to forecast beyond 5 years from now. It's very hard because it's changing, and also things are, a lot of innovation is still happening. I think a lot of the companies represented up here are innovative in hardware and software and services. They're making these things even more useful, more valuable than they were before. What are some of the things that you would say technologically that we're still either challenged by or see opportunities over the coming few years that really aren't already out there today? Let's just go down, start with Steve and go down to Ken, Laurie, and John.
So you mentioned something that you were sort of worried that people don't talk anymore because they're just texting, but I totally disagree with the whole premise. I think we're more social than ever, and one of the big functions of the technology is to enable us through this sort of social transparency to be hyper-social. And so I think it's exactly the opposite effect that you described. I mean, I guess one question to ask the audience is, how many of you have had more dates in your life than you would have otherwise had because of services like Match.com? Don't raise your hand, chicken. Okay, we all know it's true, but people are more social because of the connection to technology. I think the challenge is, and this is where the opportunity is for technology to potentially sort of start to address, is that we're surrounded by more information, more ideas, more people, more opportunities than ever before. How do you manage that? How do you not just be a gadfly? How do you actually dive in and go deeper? How do you focus? How do you execute? How do you, in an environment where there's just a million new distractions? Because it takes time and effort and work, as anybody who's ever built any of those devices that are downstairs, it takes a lot of time and effort and work to actually build something. Yet we have a zillion distractions and a zillion opportunities and a zillion new opportunities at every moment. And I think that's where, those are the kind of problems that we're trying to solve. Is how do we kind of solve this dilemma of having a space where, yes, you can have lots of ideas, and yes, it's okay to capture them, and yes, it can kind of stay with you, yet you can also drill in and focus and execute and finish your projects. And I think that's kind of the productivity conundrum right now, is that, is this making us more productive or less productive? We don't know yet. It can work either way. How do we solve that dilemma?
So you go on a Match.com date, and you sit there and text each other. It's going to end up having LTE, and we have cameras in these things. Well, what are some of the technical challenges and things in being the next three people here making things that are produced? So I think there's some challenges still left, or they would say, oh, we're already done, this is our last product. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think it's an amazing time. There are hundreds of battles going on there. They're all interdependent, and hundreds of different technology battles. But I'll just pick a couple that are of interest to me. I think NFC and e-wallet, this could be the year that really starts to get traction. I think there's going to be some pretty high-profile demonstrations of technology. For it's mainstream, but the London Olympics should be a good showcase for that. But the element that really interests me is the social transaction part. I think, on social networks today, to a degree, I become an advocate for products. But as I buy things, I can share what I'm buying. Did I get a good deal? And am I happy? And where am I going on holiday? Do you want to come there? Do you want to? I'm going to a new gig. Do you want to come there as well? The ability to share what I'm buying and what I'm investing in, and moving from just being an advocate to really becoming an agent for products. And really put my reputation on the line by saying, look, I love this thing. I think you might like it too. Because it's well known that a reputation from somebody, a recommendation from somebody I know is worth a lot more than a recommendation from somebody I don't know. So I think that's really interesting. I think like becoming an advocate, it's almost like an Avon lady from the 70s. You start to really put your reputation in line and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm a huge part of it. So there'll be a lot of activity around that of space. The other bit that's really that I'm really energized by is the contextual relevance. I think we view, particularly in social and particularly in mobile, there's a big fire hose of data that's just coming down, and it tends to sort of user, even if you're only on one social network, let alone if you've got multiple web sources and other social networks. So the ability to give context, to filter, to give relevance will massively change the way that mobile phones are used as a tool. And I think if you start looking even around basic around people, around places, and around.
So while last year's research vehicle was about the driver and co-driver interaction, things with cloud services like traffic, collision alerts, and others, this year we're taking a different approach and a bigger leap forward. So, but in order to tell you this, I'd like you to meet somebody. Want to join me over here for a second?
Yes, I do.
So I'd like to introduce you to not the real Steve Schwenke, but the virtual Steve Schwenke, who we'll be Skyping with directly from one of the 4GE vehicles. He's elsewhere in Los
There's no height difference here, by the way, Nick.
No height difference.
It's not awkward for me at all. This is like that moment with the family. You get in front of the camera.
In the back of a Chevy Bolt, and in fact, you know what? It's one of two Bolts that we have this year at CES. One's going to be at the OnStar booth, and the other's going to be at the Verizon booth. And you know what? They're equipped to show our clear leadership in smart grid technology. Not only are we able to show apps like charge status and remain charged, and charging stations both in and away from the vehicle, but we're also using this embedded connectivity to provide real-time information and demand and response capabilities, enabling our public utility partners to build a smarter, more efficient grid. It also shows home connectivity, so users can control their home thermostat, lights, doors, and any internet-connected device right from their car. We also have distributed control of their in-vehicle experience. And you know what? This allows the drivers and passengers to share and control content between all the screens. And of course, with the power of the 4G technology and its high speed and low latency, we can bring in streaming video in real time to rear seat passengers. In fact, movies or music can be accessed right from your home PC. Or you can connect to other streaming services like YouTube. And of course, we have gaming apps like Angry Birds. And finally, we have Skype that allows our customers to make video calls to anywhere on multiple devices, or tablets, and things like that. So, you know, my daughter, when she's in the back of this Volt, she can call Grandma on the way home and tell her about her game winning goal. You know, this is a really exciting stuff, and we're able to make this big step forward. And not just talk about what we're doing, or just talk about the stuff, but demonstrate what we're doing today and what our future could be with our Adams Cloud Computing platform.
Thank you so much, Steve. We'll see you soon on the show floor. 2 cars are upstairs at CES.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.